Now, Rashida Tlaib is a real progressive. And following the House of Representatives passing a massive military spending packages, she went on a tear. Now, first, let me give you some details on how much it is. Basically, $733 billion will go to the Pentagon. Now, that's up from $716 billion previous year. Now, a lot of the establishment Democrats are like, well, it's less than what Trump wanted. Now, Trump wanted $750 billion, and we talked him down to $733. But we got some minor increases in domestic spending. Well, that apparently not enough for Ms. Tlaib, and I think that's fantastic that she believes that. Here's what she said, quote, "These are huge checks being written to Boeing and Lockheed Martin, when we should be cutting checks to everyday people struggling to make ends meet." And she's just one of the 7 Democrats to vote against this measure, by the way. The others, let me go here. The other House Democrats who did vote against the measure were Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Denny Heck, Colin Peterson, and Ben McAdams. So the rest of the House Democrats, more in favor of giving more and more money to defense contractors, of course. Now, in a tweet following the vote, Tlaib also wrote, quote, "Giving our military-industrial complex another $733 billion windfall does not bring Michigan's 13th congressional district closer to economic opportunities we need. We deserve better than to come second to for-profit defense spending that doesn't make our nation any safer." She's absolutely right. Absolutely. And look, that's what we're doing. We're giving handouts to defense contractors, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and all the others. And we're depriving our country of actually, needed money, needed resources where we can use to rebuild our infrastructure. You know, Flint still doesn't have water, clean water. And we've got a lot of places with crumbling infrastructure. And yet we're continuing to fund the military at $733 billion a year. And it's insanity. Now, according to the Washington Post, the House Democrats' spending measure boosts the Pentagon budget by $16 billion at the current levels, almost a 2% increase, while giving health, education, and labor programs an almost 7% boost. So now you'll hear, of course, from the Democratic establishment, look how much we got for domestic programs. We got a 7% increase. Look at this great deal we made with the Republicans, which again gave $16 billion to defense contractors and the Pentagon for very, very modest boosts in other spending, which, by the way, has been starved because of all this Pentagon spending. Now, Tlaib said that is far from sufficient, and she added, key social programs are being robbed blind while spending on the military source. And look, that's absolutely correct. The Post, Jeff Stein and Aaron Gregg reported back in April, quote, "America's military budget is set to grow for a 5th consecutive year to near historic highs in 2020. Now, there's only a couple of times where it was actually higher, and that was during the height of the Iraq War, right? And, of course, World War II. Under the House Democrats' $733 billion Pentagon budget plan, or Trump's $750 billion proposal, Stein and Gregg wrote, "The U.S. is expected to spend more on its military in 2020 than at any point since World War II, except for a handful of years at the height of the Iraq War." So look at the difference between that. Well, I want to say, Democrats and Republicans, there's so much space in between those two parties. When you're talking about social issues, you actually would make a pretty good point, right? They're not anywhere close on social issues. But on fiscal issues, the Democrats, and I'm talking about the establishment, right? The Democratic establishment votes to enable war just as much as the Republicans. I don't know why. It must be we have to be strong on defense. You don't understand. And the Republicans are going to make fun of us. No. Under Obama, we still saw massive increases in the Pentagon budget. And yet, what did Donald Trump say? We must rebuild our depleted military. Depleted? What are you talking about? The only thing that's depleted is the uranium that we ended up shooting in Iraq. That's now giving people birth defects and cancer. Depleted. The only thing depleted is brain cells. I mean, come on. Or the morality of people who continue to vote for these massive Pentagon budgets. I mean, why do we need to spend nearly $1 trillion on war? And that should be the question that so many people are asking, or should be asking. And unfortunately, so many people are not asking that question. Why do we need to spend so much on war? But Jeff, you don't understand. We got to support the troops. We got to give, this money goes to the troops. We got to support the troops, right? You don't support the troops, do you? Huh? Why don't you support the troops, Jeff? You libtard. Lo, here's the thing. It doesn't go to the troops. Look, an E1 makes $19,000 a year. Our troops continue to have to use food stamps at the commissaries, spending billions of dollars per year because they don't make enough money. That money is not going to the troops. It's not going to them. You know who it's going? It's going to executives at Lockheed Martin. It's going to executives at Boeing. It's going to executives at Northrop Grumman. All these different giant defense contracting private companies. That's where that money's going. It's going to shareholder profits, executives. This is the military-industrial complex. It is here, and it's crushing everyone. It's crushing the taxpayers. It's crushing the troops. And it's definitely crushing people in other countries who continue to get hit by our bombs. And the whole reason that they're getting hit by our bombs is because, hey, man, they got all this money. We got to spend it. And so we got to get into conflicts so that we continue to have business, create jobs, or keep the current job levels. That's the problem with creating a military-industrial complex, because it's self-sustaining, it's self-perpetuating, and it perpetuates, like, if unchecked, it will continue to self-perpetuate, creating endless war for endless profit. That's what's going on here. And it's amazing, right? We send our people out to fight. We send our people out to die. And yet when they come home to their communities, they might not have drinkable water. Now think about that. We send them off to places that we ourselves are like, oh my God. We're sending them off to that crap hole in Syria. Those crap holes in Iraq. Man, and they spend so much time. And don't get me wrong, we mess those places up pretty good. But then they come home and you've got crumbling infrastructure. You got abandoned buildings because nobody can afford housing, or a bad economy, or the factory moves out of the town, and so the town's falling apart. Again, broken infrastructure, not drinkable water, lead in the water, or people without health care. Look, even the VA's got a lot of problems, right? And you also have lack of mental health services. People being not able to, reintegrate into civilian society. And you want to talk about supporting the troops. Support the troops. You know what we should do? We should support the troops by not sending them out into pointless wars for oil while their communities fall apart. How about that? We actually use the money that we're giving defense contractors to actually fix America, to fix our schools, to fix our roads, our bridges, our water pipes, our infrastructure. That's what we need to do. It is shameful that we continue to put all of our resources into bombing brown people overseas when we could be reinvesting it in ourselves and give our own citizens free college, food, and housing, and healthcare. Tlaib obviously nails it. And unfortunately, our House of Representatives is not representing us. They're representing big corporations, defense contractors. But as usual, progressives are voting on the right side. True progressives. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality. which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.